Seeing this many people is really, really overwhelming. It's really a measure of what's taking place here tonight. So that's a very fun thing to see in a visual representation. Usually audio representations are the things in poetry, but we have room for all the senses here. Room for everything
What up,
going on.
Eric?
Although please don't taste each other. That's not allowed. Okay, so I think that's everyone. Yeah, so welcome everybody to this very special event to honor the life of Norm Mattox, the poet and educator who has brought everyone who's in this room into this room. And even my name is Kit Wren. I'm your host for tonight. I'm somewhat at a remove from Norm, but I have heard his work before. At a different event that I run, people chose to read his work when we had a special event where people chose to honor other people's work. And so that speaks for itself. But I was really impacted with what I heard, and I'm really glad that Bill reached out to me and let me be the MC, let me be the host, let me be the person to ensure smooth transitions as our roster of readers read from the work that has come together in tribute to him. And we have a very big list of 17 readers, including the guest of honor. And it's going to be a great night. It's going to be a very special night. And we're really happy that we get to share it with so many people. And so the first reader that we're going to call up and unmute is going to be Guy Biederman. All right.
Good evening, everybody. It's an honor to be here. Thank you, Vale. Thank you, Kit. And Norm, thank you. Norm and I, as you know, Norm, we're cohort brothers, Nomadic Press cohort brothers, Black Calculus and Nova Nights came out about 3 years ago. We were also recently, I think, in along with a few other people in here, in Great Weather for Media's anthology. But what I really want to say is the first time I remember hearing your work was at Alley Cat, and you were up reading, you were wearing this tweed coat, and you were the professor. And your work has always inspired me and moved me and taught me without teaching me, which is my favorite kind of learning. In addition to poetry, though, as we both know, we have something else in common. And that's what this poem's about. It's called Pancakes. It's Sunday morning, and there's something comforting in knowing that my friend Norm across the country in New York is making pancakes with berries on a griddle. Bubbles will surface in the batter before he flips them, and faces may appear with blueberry eyes and strawberry smile as coffee percolates on the stove. And I'll be making pancakes too, West Coast time, our shared tradition, 3 hours difference. One poem written, sun rising over the bay, our parallel play on separate clouds far away. But for the poetry and the pancakes, friendship goes the distance as pancakes. On one of your visits out to the West Coast, Norm, I got this kind of cryptic call from you. It said, be there. There was an address. I said, what should I bring? You said, syrup. You can see a theme here. It's called Pancakes and Poetry, and a few people in this poem are here tonight. Savoring this early autumn morning, sun on the rise, reminds me of yesterday's brunch coming to an end. 5 poets in a beautiful backyard sharing pancakes and fruit and espresso beneath an umbrella, sharing history and tiny touches of craft as warm hours slip by and the cat finds her place in the sun, listening and being. And when it's all said and done, and at last it's time to go, we know the way an ending to a poem just arrives, and we know. So we make a move to leave, lingering in the kitchen to admire a classic radio, colored tile, a morning writing desk, and we exchanged some more. Same in the dining room, closer to the door, in no rush, savoring the golden light, this time with friends, happiness in the air, a making of memories, a making of now as we step out the front door, as we pause once more for a photo, the feeling still there, immersed in the day. This time together, poetry and pancakes, laughter and love, as morning turns to afternoon, as summer turns to fall, we five together, savoring the moment eternal. That's for Norman, Susanna, Nazila, and JK. Thank you.
Good guy. I spoke too soon about the no tasting because I could I could feel the breakfast food emanating from that. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right. Our next reader, among all the people in this room, he's the only one I've met in person when he came through El Paso on one of his tours. And he goes by many names, but today we're going to welcome to the stage the propaganda poet.
Hello, all of you beautiful humans and poets. Hello, Norm. We fucking love you, and you will never be able to get away from that. So I hope you know that. It is an honor to be a part of this. And just thank you for being you. All of y'all, thank you for being you. I got one haiku, and then for Norm, and then I'm going to read a little poem, and then we'll maybe hear from me again later. Haiku. The scars in your palms, 4 crescents from a clenched fist, your full moon guides us. And I was going to read this, but this feels kind of depressing. So I'm going to do something else. I'm going to do this. This is for all y'all. This is called Community. Now, I wish I could tell y'all to step off because I'm about to burn you with the friction in my diction because recently the Supreme Court made a decision based solely on one religion, which is really just a prop for this patriarchal prison, and I'm getting really fucking tired of fighting oppressive systems. But I've been hitting a wall, y'all. And this writer's block shit has got me feeling small, y'all. Because I'm supposed to be able to smith my words and craft my style, because there for a while I thought that I needed to be heard, but maybe I just needed to hear myself think. So I could gather my thoughts like a gathering of nations without the hesitation of a society of convenience where everything is supposed to save our time, but nothing ever seems to get done. So run, rat, run, because that's how things are done these days. Push through the maze, push through the haze, learn to breathe through the grays, learn to see through the days of this 8-day-a-week overtime craze, or learn to become nothing but suicide slaves. In the land of the supersized and the home of the slum, there ain't no time to grow old because you ain't even allowed to be young. Well, I intend to fight fire with a sharply honed tongue, but poetry is more than poet me. It's poet you and poet true. Having the courage to turn this soapbox into a platform so that we can shine the light to the shitstorm of the norm because enlightenment has found that this shit right here, this shit ain't normal. And our rights are being blocked like a decaying bridge to true freedom, just waiting to collapse under our train of thoughts. So they're trying to train our thoughts. So by taking away from our schools music, theater, and art, but we sure can fill in bubbles with number 2 pencils. Just marking stencils for future marketing status quos, and I really don't know where this is going to go because lately my flow has been hitting a wall. And this wall stands tall, like the one that leaves people imprisoned in religion shopping malls instead of kicking it in the halls of karma where good deeds actually still mean something. Instead of just being a list of things to do to get your soul through in hopes that someday you might get to earn those wings, but there is still something that we can't quite grasp, and we are being trained to be afraid to ask because they don't want us to know we were all born with these wings and the ability to sing. No, they'd rather have us kissing some false idol's ringleader of a kiddie porno ring, and they say that he's closest to God. Well, what's it going to take for us all to recognize that all we got to do is just drop all this shopping and step out the door? Stop talking when we pray and learn to listen some more. But alas, this too shall pass, so I'm just going to kick back, listen to y'all do some poetry and smoke some more grass and try to pass through these bricks of ego and this mortar of fear because you see, I didn't come here tonight just to spit for Mr. Norm MathMattox. I came here to hear all of you do the same. So you see, I came here tonight to unblock my rights by listening to you all. Thank you for listening.
Right. All right. Thank you, Prop. Thank you, Bear. Uh, all right. A very interesting thing about choosing to host this event is I'm meeting a lot of you, and that's very exciting. I really the people I know I trust enough to take the rest of you on credit, and so I am meeting this next reader for the first time, and I'm very excited to hear them. So I want to welcome Susanna Prover Perez to the stage.
Thank you, Kit. This is such a lovely thing, and thank you, Val, for organizing it. You know, it's such a lovely thing to laud our friends, and if Maestro is good at anything, he's really good at being a friend. And as Guy said, he has a subtle way of teaching, and this poem is sort of, this is written because of something that Norm taught me. This is a poem that was writing itself for many, many, many weeks. Norm said, just pull over and write the darn thing. So this is called Sparks. Brother Poet teaches me how to catch fireflies. Those glimmering sparks that flicker in my mind. He tells me, pull over when a muse trails you in the fast lane. No way you want to mess with a muse. But there's no soft shoulder to pull over on San Leandro Boulevard. Just a high curb holding a river of weeds, graffiti, and makeshift shelters multiplying faster than the thistles and thorns. There's nothing soft about my route through East Oakland. I park in the employee lot and cross the street, dodging red light runners and rats that leap like pole vaulters into air belts. I'm late for work. But a muse caught a ride on my tailpipe, held me in her silky hands, pinned my eyelids open wide. My gaze traces the corrugated bark of a palm tree towering over the Fruitvale BART. Not 50 feet away, Oscar Grant got shot. Dead. By a cop who said he confused right from left, but really confused right from wrong as he pulled a gun on a handcuffed man laying face down on the platform. I'm late for work. But palm frond shadows dance on the paved stones, and women who walked all the way from Guatemala rest in the shade wearing hand-woven huipiles and high-heeled shoes from Payless. Girls with black braids skip round the fountain, clap hands in blue water, giggle their delight. I scribble snapshots in my calendar in the leftover corners of days. I might as well be the palm tree, the fountain, the aroma of coffee in the plaza. I'm late for work, but the sun spells summer on my shoulders. Brother Poet's voice is in my ears, and there are fireflies everywhere I look. Thank you. So I'm going to go back in history a bit. And Maestro and I, we're actually twins. Many people don't know that. We are actually twins, and we just share slightly different birthdays. We're pressmates, we're friends, and we also spent a lot of time at La Lunada Literary Lounge, where we really started to cement our friendship. And so this is an homage called On a Mission. I balance on the metal teeth of a rising stairway, slow motion serenade, echoes, cellos in a train station's cavern. The teeth tuck themselves behind a concrete lip, spit me into a plaza of papel picado filled with fruits and flowers and a preacher screeching, "En el nombre de Dios." A packed McDonald's holds down one corner. Taqueria San Jose secures the other. Men with calloused hands eat foods spiced with richness of their roots, on tables topped with oilcloth in bare bulb loose, while the gentry devour in the neighborhood by candlelight on white linen. But I am not here to eat. I came to follow the moon as it scurries up lampposts, runs along phone lines, alights on a cloud shaped like an eagle with a snake in its mouth. I follow the serpent, slither down 24th Street under a blue moon, supermoon, blood moon, eclipsed by the sun. I pass Burbuja's lavanderia where overworked mothers wash clothes dragged down from overfilled flats, where their children draw dreams on cracked sidewalks. Mission musicians in a multi-hued mural crown the parking lot of House of Breaks. Lowriders fist bump with a nod. I finally arrive at my Mecca, early. This is the only place in my life I arrive early. I gaze at rows of chairs through diamond shapes of a security gate, can almost taste pregnant air, like a snake, a bruja, a poet with words on my tongue. The doors fly open and I float in like water to a low spot, though I am on a high. I'm all adrenaline and dragonflies and those sparks that leap between synapses. I sit beside homegirls who pump poems out of fire hydrants, spray stories that hang in the air like gossamer. Brothers born and raised in this barrio bounce words behind their back, dribble and pass, shoot a three-pointer, slam dunk their verse. A sister sings her truth and rings rafters in those tender places we hide inside. Tú sabes. Walking back to Bart in the dark, the neighborhood's in a different mood. The bookstores and fruit stands are tucked in for the night. Guys with tight jeans and gaudy voices spill out of corner bars. The fluorescent light and ranchera music flowing from Taqueria Vallarta is pumped up, like it's wearing 6-inch heels. But I am wearing sensible shoes, and the full moon illuminates my steps. I spout poetry to myself like a lunatic, figure no one's gonna bother a loca walking alone in the night. McDonald's is still open. A man in just a loincloth, yellow flowers in his matted hair, steps into the chilly air, a red heart painted on his chest. Maybe he's un loco de verdad. Or maybe he's just like me, in camouflage. Eyes meet. We exchange a good night, and I descend into the cavernous station. Mission accomplished. Thank you.
Susanna, thank you. That was terrific. Wonderful to meet you in this way. Next on the list is the person who organized this event and the person who cast Norman there off. I think there's one more off-Broadway play, Words of the Prophets, as a narrator figure, and so without further ado, please welcome Vale Larkin.
Hey, hi. Okay, so as a lot of you know, this is in part a launch for a chat book. The people who are you here reading tonight are reading the poems that they wrote for this book in the order that they are in the book. So we're reading the whole book tonight, and interspersed between the poems from the book, each reader is also reading one of their original pieces as well. So, and then we're going to close with a feature from Norm. So that's very exciting. This is the special edition of the chat book right here. I'll hold it up so people can see it better. The art is by Lynn Lane. Vince Curtis is of Vers Libris is in the corner of my Zoom window, and he is the bookbinder who did these little hardbound chat books for us. They're hand sewn. They're beautiful cloth and paper board binding. And I'm going to put the information in the chat to order that special edition right now. And then right after that is going to be, we do have a mass market paperback and an ebook you can buy for a little bit less from Amazon. The proceeds from those will still all go to Norm. All these proceeds are going to Norm, and Norm is going to distribute those funds as he sees fit. And he knows a lot of people who can use them, so that's good. So all of this will go to Norm. Obviously, the special edition will send the most money to his way. But those are the Amazon editions for anybody who needs those. So enough of that. You know, the entire point we're here. But I'm going to read my piece from the book, which is actually what gave me the idea for this, because I realized after I heard someone else read a poem they mentioned Norm in relation to, I was just thinking, you know, I bet a lot of us have pieces that we've written inspired by this person in some way or another. And what if we all put them together in a book and gave it to him? And then it kind of snowballed from there. So this is called Way Station Song. His voice is an old voice, slow and dryly wise. He says he is meditating again and finding some peace in the places between. We talk about dying with wide eyes, nothing shuttered, no walls. We talk about life with the voices of old women comparing their wedding photos. We talk about art like a life raft, carrying us over the shoals of our bodies and their erratic betrayals. He remembers his wife's death, how she stepped quite abruptly from struggle to acceptance, and how she was gone before anyone else had the time to accept. He understands her better now, he says. I'm still not certain how this happened. This friendship where we say terrible and true things to each other, because hearing them echoed in all their unwieldiness lessens the weight of their boots on our chests. Journeys make family of companions, and companions of those once merely admired. I pray, every time we sign off, for our strength, for our will to be present, even when presence is fading and life is too sharp. I pray for him to find that center he is seeking. I pray I will. In the night, the voice of another traveler, waiting for dawn and journeying on. We sing a hymn together for the warm embrace of darkness to hold on to us just a little longer. Thank you. And this next piece is a little less depressing, I guess. So when you're disabled and ill, you find joy in weird places where most people wouldn't expect to find joy. So that last piece is not a miserable piece to me, but I can see how some people might find it a little sad. Gnosis and the unknowable is the second piece I'll read. In this moment of unknowing, of unending wonder, I am unwound from my twisting knotwork, all my ornate iron spirals, and the eloquence I only show when I am seen by someone I long to be worthy for. Parapets crumble beneath my feet. I am finding peace where soil finds moisture and we all mingle together. In this moment of unknowing, I am looking to the ground, I am looking to the sky, and I am both rooted and flying, inspired and elated, and the warmth of your love, your peaceful embrace, means more than my mind, than meaning my memories, or how I wish the world would remember me. In this moment of unknowing, I am staggered by the song your stars make. I am breathlessly bewildered, and my own imagination fails and falls to the beauty of the truth, beyond all being or unbeing, literal or metaphor. It's all real in your roiling eyes, and we are spinning, dancing, delighted in spite of ourselves. In this moment of unknowing, I am called beyond the limits of my skin, the limitations of my stifled senses and wandering mind, of my boundaries and barriers and deepest, sharpest fears. I reach for your light. And oh, the farthest reaches of our lacework universe, resonant with all our many revolutions, dissolve me up and sweep me into forever. Thank you. One more time, this is the book. You know you want it. Get any edition you feel free. Any edition is good. And all these people are in it, and they're all amazing. And how often are you going to get a chat book with everybody in it who's in it this time? So it's good.
That's true. You know, get to force it on your friends. What's the point of having interests if you can't impose them on other people? Okay, next on the list is Jane Spoken Word, who I believe is not here, and I believe this is a test of my cognizance and see if I was paying attention. I believe Bear is going to read her contribution to the book. Is that right?
That is correct. Today, the
All
role of Jane Spoken Word will be played by this guy, apparently. So I guess, okay. I'm Jane Spoken Word for right now. Norm, you know how much you mean to us all. And I'm sure that is what she would say if she were here tonight. So, Sky World. In the sky world of the unnamed beginnings before illumination, I sang the song of creation in the dawn of new days. I dreamt you into reality, a raven's prophecy, awakening in a quiet storm of manifestation, the sound of water, wind, thunder, storm. On the wings of the winds of a timeless sky, teardrops flow from the mist of the moon, glistening as the sun whispers poetry, cloaking the universe in balance and harmony in the circle of creation. Ancestors ghost dance on native soil, immortal echoes heard in 1,000 tongues tethered to yesterdays. When morning stars rise in the great circle of life, you will hear me. You will see me. You will know me. Jane Spoken Word.
Well, thank you for playing understudy. Thank you for rising to the occasion. And so coming up next is someone who's just in the very fabric of all of these different open mics all across the country and world. Someone who I met in Spokane, even though neither of us were in Spokane, and now he comes to El Paso whenever he can, even while not leaving his apartment. Everyone, please welcome Michael Sidler.
Okay, Lynn's not before me.
You are correct. I made a mistake. I looked at the
Okay,
wrong blank.
yeah, let's get Lynn in there.
Okay, Lynn Alexander is another person who I'm just meeting today, and I've gotten up on the wrong foot. I've been terrible. Please forgive me, and please, I want to hear what you have.
Well, thank you. I wanted to start by just, thanking everybody for doing this. And, holding this up, it's an honor to hold this up because, Paul and I had the honor of working on Four Crescents with Norm. And we just, I've just come to consider, I'll just say it directly to you, you mean so much to the community and we're just, so glad to be here. So I will share something and then one after that. And this is about good intentions. And we talk a lot about knowing better and doing better, right? So I think we've all been here, this particular beach alone, nothing in our pockets, trying to find the things we couldn't bring. We go there to see where we fit, who we join, where we sit, who we find, what we leave, what we give, what we take, what we make, what we change, what comes next. What comes next? Know better, do better, he says. Is that so hard? And the sand on this particular beach is messy, footprints, bottles with messages, good intentions, debris. The sand is not smoothed over yet. no reset, no pulling clean by the tide. It isn't okay. It isn't okay to look around, to wake up every day thinking maybe today I'll lose my shit. In these kinds of spaces, you know how it is. We slide in clean, but we slide out messy and open in the holiest of dirty. In these kinds of spaces, we start telling the truth. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's you, against the blue on that sand, still messy with footprints in a long span of days. If you hang around long enough, you can leave with a group. If you hang around long enough, the ocean takes care of you. If you hang around long enough, she comes through like a dream and cleans. Sometimes you bury your mess yourself, and sometimes you do what you have to do. I'm back there, but I got to tell you, the whole thing smells like doom. And I spin in this loop of apocalypse, a doom reel where I scream Netflix and Hulu and Facebook and only me. And I'm set to see only me, and I'm relieved. Only me is the mantra of the century. And fishing, spending a Sunday, she says, going fishing for likes, spending an hour on makeup and bait for the gaze, and success, we say, my life is better than you. I have what you want. Worship me because I wear social media costumes. And costumes, are we back to that again? Because it feels like we're back here, but it's too much to explain, too much for a riff. We're howling. We're howling at the moon, and sometimes people join you, and we're howling at the moon, and hating the moon feels like hating a woman. I howl at you, but what good does it do? Ocean, don't you know what we're trying to do? We're trying to kill you. Ocean, here I thought we were just pacing around alongside you, kind of existing, just growing in our gifts. But ocean, we're trying to kill you. We won't stop until we steam you to oblivion. And we won't stop until we steam you to oblivion. And back to this, back to that, let's go. Grab a mask, grab a briefcase, grab your costume, dress yourself as a good American, and consume and stand on your driveway and squint at the sun and look at your neighbor and think about what he has, and think about what he has that you don't. Think about what you don't have. Just sit and think about all the things that you don't have. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That was, wow. Okay. Thank you very much, Lynn. All right. Well, I already used up the flowery introduction with like the conceits and everything. So now we're just going to go to plain spoken language. Please welcome Michael Sindler.
Yes, well, I am thrilled and delighted and humbled and all that good stuff to be here, just with so many of my favorite poets celebrating not only one of the best poets I've heard, but such a great person. You know, I talk all the time about what a gift being able to be part of this global poets community has been for my life, and no better example of that than being able to meet Norm. So I'm just very thankful to be here. I'm going to start with the one that's in the book, and it's called Ink MathMattox. Ink MathMattox, normative excellence, untied taxonomy, poetic trigonometry, golden grin and grimace, yin yang zen face, circumambulation, contains constellations, more than heliocentric, best kind of eccentric, hard truth's answer just under droop lid, eyes mist, mirror, and emote beyond the rote, surprise exists within irrational. Geometry cannot delineate nor rotate in another answer. Integers combined measure might make mockery of some, but still each number matters. Smile lit by sustained embers, flicker of mischief and mirth, good trouble in the making, good trouble in the telling, and still each number matters. And the second one, we know the reason he's MathMattox is his many years of service, helping generations through education, which is about as wonderful a way to spend a life as you can get, in my opinion. Nothing I respect more. And so this is called Flight by Fight by Flight. Worn stairwell, hard concrete, not clear crystal, no easy climb, lifting minds. Effort, resolve leads up, higher goal, flight by fight by flight. MathMattox grasping, yanking, young arms supported, hoisted up one crooked, battered step at a time. Hand out is hand up, conjoined effort, no free rides, upward jump earned, limber imagination, higher hope, leverages, tug up rungs, each battered tread inched up with aid, vertiginous view, daring vigilance, sudden slips, brutal falls, some fall, some saved, rising again to ascend towards stars. Educational Sisyphus means business. Up and down steps, bells sound each increment, each year bringing next generation, batch after batch, new travelers introduced to truth, knowledge, understanding. Each flight leads to hallways ripe for exploration, exponential effort, class after class, incautious crowds, lifted to next slick landing, some slip, slide back to base of stairwell, not all ascend, yet year after year, unwavering arm awaits adventurers, tugs and gives aid, assists those who can and will continue, capability of climbers tested and celebrated, sharpened potential now the norm. As some reach crest, another questing class climbs not far behind, rising, flight by fight by flight. Thank you, everyone. We really do love you, Norm.
Thank you, Michael. And so we're going to transition from that to our next reader, who is Mr. Paul Corman Roberts.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kit. Thank you so much, Vale. Especially a kid coming from El Paso. I part of me really wants to feel like the spirit of Donna Snyder's in the room tonight, with talking about it. This kind of echo. Yeah. There we go. The Tumblewars Project.
Kit is Donna's heir apparent. Kit took over Tumblewords at Donna's request.
Yeah, that's good to know. That's good to know. Well, then good. That's extra blessings, extra special honor to meet you tonight, Kit. And thank you, Vale. Thank you, Vale, for doing this thing we're doing for Norm tonight. I met Norm, like Guy. I met Norm for the first time at Alley Cat, and was just blown away immediately by what an absolute gentleman Norm Mattox is. What an outstanding human being Norm Mattox is. And since that time, getting to know him, building a very close collaborative relationship with him has been altering for me. It's changed me as a publisher, a poet, an organizer, and a person, and that is all true. And I am great, and I would not have that any other way. Yeah, so I'm going to do a couple of pieces here, both influenced by Norm. This first one is called "Knowing Better Than to Fall in Love and Fuck Going Ahead and Doing It Anyway." The one thing kindness and cruelty share is how easy we forget them. At the head of her oak table, I feel my heart somehow in the world, and in the desolation of the makeshift encampments, always just off the commercial drags, where is the hope or kindness for the emaciated dude, flecks gathered along his mouth's corners, just wants to complain to someone about his old lady giving him the business? And we know once we start giving, we'll never be asked to stop. And the more we do it, the more we won't be able to stop. And all the things I've been able to stop, the booze, the bars, the powders, the cigs, but not this idea that I can somehow fill myself up by giving pieces of myself away, which doesn't make any fucking sense in any world except this Oh, I'm so sorry. Where did I lose off?
We lost you at except this one, so take it from there.
Bah, 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 bah. By giving pieces of myself away, which doesn't make any fucking sense in any world except this one. And all these terrible things I haven't been able to stop are always the things I most need to give away. And seeing it like this now, for maybe the first time, it's the one thing. No, you're my one thing that kindness and cruelty both share. Now that I can no longer forget them, I feel the easing of our spirits against the backdrop of the finite seasons that remain. And I will close with the piece from the collection for Norm. This was that I wrote specifically for Norm. Here again, and when one comes to these moments, you already know better than to ask, even if you hadn't been hearing already. And didn't you hear? Because when you love, you always hear. You always hear, aren't you? Always? Yes. Yes, I believe we spent long afternoons on hillsides, once marveling at clouds on sunset horizons, how they looked like breaking waves, or so we thought until we saw fire wheels in the sky telling us it was our job to write. Oh, ain't this some shit? I believe we spoke then of now, and then spoke of things before like we do now, on how the war was brought to this place, and only the very best ways to try and extinguish that endless Sisyphean war beneath an angry man's wheel, sent spinning in motion many moons ago. But at least we know now we come again to these moments that we came to before, and will come to again, because didn't we hear it when it said our work isn't done? We were here for it then, we're here for it now, and we know now. Thank you again, everybody.
Well, thank you, Paul. I was not expecting Donna's name to get invoked during this. It's wonderful how the world gets a little smaller every day. Throws on a few sparks every time. So thanks again very much. Next is going to be a video contribution from Yusuf Alawi. And please forgive me if I mispronounced that, but Vale is going to handle the nuts and bolts of that.
Hey, yeah, I'm just going to share screen. Yusuf couldn't make it tonight because he's in Paris and I think staying with people who are in bed at this hour. But he really wanted to be here and he sent this for us to watch.
Norm. What a day. What a time. What an event. It's so cool that this whole thing is going on today. And I am dressed, actually I'm gonna go run out into the rain and get something, but I wanted to record this while I have like a few minutes. Thank you, Vale, for inviting me to write a poem for my good friend Norm Mattox, aka MathMattox. MathMattox. Not sure what his middle initial is, but so I had fun writing it, and thinking about Norm, thinking about our relationship, thinking about our friendship, and thinking about, what he represents. He's a clever guy, passionate about poetry and passionate about love, passionate about life, passionate about loving his friends. And that's, that's impressive. That's a good thing to live your life by. Those are all good things to live your life by. That's karmically clean, man. That's good stuff. So I wrote about our relationship together, and I wanted to, of course, use math like he does. So it's a mathy poem, but it's kind of not. I don't know. What else did I want to say about the thing? I'm looking at it over here on the side of my screen, and let me see here. I think it's, I guess it's self-explanatory. If the fraction of me could speak unto you, then the way we divide our calculus would be of greater value than the measure of our entire sum. As equivalent as we are on this inconsequential sphere where our circles intersect is small bounded space, yet at this locus exist quantities of understanding. Every successive term is constant in sequence, multiplied. Our peace is more expansive in simple knowing, for what we share is greater in 1 iota than the arms of any angle can hold. Again, thank you, Vale, and thank you for letting me submit this video instead of being there. Wish I could actually be there with you, and I am there with you in my mind. Looking forward to hearing from you, Norm, and love you lots, man. Take care.
In addition to the quality of the poem, it was kind of a relief to see some of my own nervous tics mirrored back at me. Feel less alone. That's kind of what one of the reasons to do poetry is to make other people less alone. So thanks to Yusuf for his video contribution. And coming up next from Houston, Texas, and if you follow him on social media, you end up with a tour of the cultural life of one of the best cities in America. From his wonderful photography of all the public events he's at. So everyone please welcome Lynn Lane.
Unmute myself. Okay, it's great to see a lot of faces that I haven't seen in a while, especially Norm. Norm, my bilingual brother, who's been a beacon in the poetry world for this whole time during the pandemic and post-pandemic to me. So this poem is out of the book. It's called My Friend. It's short. The second marks the hour, 3 minutes max. Calmness floods the chamber. The Fresnel illuminates the mic, a tattered worn hat, a milky warm voice, salt and pepper define the features, a magenta skyline, a phosphorescent bulb absent of a filament dangles buoyantly overhead. Syllables vibrate the wall. Paint struggles to survive. Battered lines swim outward, casting shadows where they fall. Night ends in harmony. Stars find discontent in the sullen skies. We are home with you. That's that. And this is my second poem. And I literally finished this, so it's new shit, and I finished it as I was logging in. It's called Torero. Red capes ripple in the wind above the cracked windows of a late-night boogie-down bodega. A torero stands quietly at the stove in his apartment above. Blistering blueberry pancakes fill the air. A silver mocha pot spits and sputters, promising a rush of speed through the pulsating veins of a poet filled with the drip, drip of a mathematical fire. A scratchy cumbia breaks the silence as it seeps through the half-turned keyhole of a double-locked metal door. The body remembers to move. The espresso begins to pour. Today, the bulls rest easy. That was all. Thanks, everybody. It was good seeing everyone. And thank you, Vale, for putting all this together. It's phenomenal.
All right. Well, thank you, Lynn. Thank you for those moments. And the next person coming up to our stage is going to be Han Rashka. So Han, when you're ready.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I could say a million things about Norm, but I'm just going to say, I love you, Norm. We love you, Norm. You are the poet and the poem. So this is called Refrain for Maestro. Bay Area homeboy in NYC, father, widow, son, fluent in English, Spanish, calling it what it is in poetry. World-class fencer, eternal maestro, poet of the ages, loved. When a girl from Wisconsin writes about being raped, he listens. asks for more fire, tells them to burn it the fuck down, tells them they owe nothing, make sure they know that this is not arson, this is controlled burn, prairie fire, making way for something new. But, he says, wouldn't blame you if it was arson. Some shit's just gotta go. A commonality between us, poetry, fire, burning, bridge between geography, race, gender, age, life. What we speak is universal. No translation needed. But I ask him to anyways, because he splinters ribs with the way he burns, demanding the world watches. Tik Kwon Duk was a maestro too, burning in the streets. The Midwest doesn't have fires. Cali does. Thick, dark smoke resting on the beach, waiting for his wife, his father, for sand to stop turning into glass. Smoke is unapologetically black. Don't ask him not to be. Don't ask him to stop showing up at the beach. Don't ask him to stop showing up. Bay Area homeboy in NYC, father, widow, son, fluent in English, Spanish, calling it what it is, and poetry. World-class fencer, eternal maestro, poet of the ages, loved, loved, loved. And then Norm always says I'm in tune with the darkness. So for him, I will remain in tune with the darkness with this one. It's called Indemnity. I don't know who you are, except that you are my father. I take my glasses off so I can blur the line more. My father is a big man and you recede into the bus seat. I can count the bones in your hand. I count them so tenderly, like you are my father. When you look across the aisle at me, I want to tell you I love you. Your eyes are the same viscosity as my father's, the same jelly that never leaks out in front of anyone except my mother behind a bedroom door. I want you to cry. I want you to fall to your bony knees and sob in my arms and tell me how I am the daughter you always dreamed of. You are shaped like my father. Thank you. Love you, Norm.
Wow. All these themes coming together, all of these tributes. This is just a real wonderful thing to unfold and see it come together layer by layer. All these poems and tributes. Thank you very much for your contributions. And so next on our list of contributors is K.R. Morrison.
Hi, everybody. Norm, there isn't anywhere else I would be than right here with you. Maybe with you, like in, real time. Maybe that's the only other place. But I'm honored to be part of this, and Vale and team, just thank you for doing a wonderful thing that brought us together for a wonderful poet. So I'm just going to get going. I'm going to start off with the poem that I wrote for you, Norm. It's called Teacher Poet. Which poet wishes to write teacher poet love? Cauldron, an epistolary poem. A warrior child letter. Pine cones and rosemary stuffed in strong envelope. Which poet wishes to conjure colors searching for spring and thirsty rainstorms? Which poet summons love? Some electric alliteration for sacred men good with numbers. She decides, let the tarot and its sacred numeric symmetry tell her where a sister's love wants to poem for him. From the Three of Wands, which poet sees teacher poet with earth in his hands, ancestors and forests rooted in his throat, envisioning, calculating new awakenings. Teacher poet's rhythms are fire seeds planting revolutions. new days, Earth Mother, justice. All illness fades. Teacher poet holds the world's wounds, assigns words to shrapnel. Ancestors envision new chapters, new poems, new lifetimes next to him. From the 10 of Pentacles, teacher poet grounds in love. By his side is Seraphim. His memory dressed in family, good food, music, and gratitude. I see a fire child who learned how to fight without burning his own ships down. I see a fire child who journeyed to teacher poet, to true currency. Wealth is students. Wealth is poetry. Love, the poetry of learning. We live expanding miles of soul country back toward ourselves. Teacher poet is the poem. He is the poet. A sea witch flies out from the deck in awe of firemen who heal her, cultivate trust in men for once. Teacher poet's spirit soothes, ignites so many of us. From the 6 of Pentacles and the 3 of Swords reversed, teacher poet uncovers divine love. How giving and receiving mends within us what's wounded, makes mosaics from inner debris and suffering. I see miles of word siblings recreating the nation, mending with teacher poet feathering magic tongues. Within this word wizardry, teacher poet arms us together. We face world illnesses, the unexpected we overcome. At the bottom of the deck is the Empress, Divine Mother, she holds him. Teacher poet thrives in spirit, fertile, creative, life abundant. It's kind of amazing, Han, that you said that, because that's in my poem. I'll just read a real sort of quick one because mine's kind of long. I'm just gonna read. I have on here elections. I was trying to pick a poem in the spirit of why we're all here and why, Norm, we're just so lucky to know you. So I dedicate this one to you as well. It's called Elections. I pick poets. I pick girls who slay guitars. I pick women who spit in ego's face. I pick kids who can pick your pocket, who also carry a single mother's groceries. I want the mother tired of being tired while her children visit father graves, engraving new revolutionary sons. I pick the fighter, the vagrant, the sick, the manic Joan of Arc. I pick her treason, her holy mistakes. I pick the wounded who elections later the masses praise when history suits them. I pick my brother's backyard. I choose my sister's shotgun seat, a Beretta on the floorboard by her feet. I pick men who insist on revising their masculine. I pick families who revere what's feminine. I pick men who mother, soothe, and nourish their nests. I pick bare, calloused feet that walk away from this suicide we call the United States. I choose to awaken to new love, to healed generations. I pick love pure. I pick poetry, whispering from outlaw sidewalks. Thank you.
Thank you. Outlaw sidewalks. Just every word, every combination of words like that. Oh, okay. Well, the next person that we're going to welcome to our stage is going to be Linda Saldana. So, you're ready.
Hi. When Vale put out the call for poems, it occurred to me that I'd never actually been in the same room or the same place as Norm. And yet there were all those Friday night open mics. And so this is what came out of that. It's called Word Math. Do you know him? They ask. At first I say, no, I know only his poetry. I know only the shape of him squared. I know only that buttery voice, the magic flow of language, word math that adds up to love despite the unswerving rules of multiply and divide, that calculus of infinite longing for the thing that has no measure by which to determine the norm. I can also attest to this. The poetic pulse of words, 2 dimensions on the page, extruding into 3D space beyond the 4th dimension, time, and onward to the 5th, the spirit. In the inside out of poetry, a bold eruption of glittering truths. Does intellectual assent foster knowledge? Why try to estimate a theorem, an inexact infinitive, the many imparted wisdoms embedded in those lines laid out in black on white, suspended in wheeled silences between the spoken? Let's say the amplitude of words is meaning, that meaning equals sentiment, that sentiment equals soul. The problem of logic gone straight to L. Listen, learn, levitate. Why question? In truth, I know him after all. For my second poem, I happen to know that Norm is a Sagittarius, like I am, and that he is celebrating all month, and maybe last month and next month. So this is called Before You Light That Candle. Look, I'd spin the whole tale, but it's convoluted. Just call it a recurrent dream. Year after year, another birthday. Not that you should complain, but there comes a point when you see a headline, elderly shopper mugged. You notice that the victim is the same age you are. You whisper to yourself, or maybe even shout it, damn, when did that happen? Because the onslaught of age wasn't as sudden as that mugging. Not in your case anyway, though as the realization settles in, you indeed feel blistered, battered, betrayed by the faulty promise of everlasting youth. You won't go down easily once this decrepitudinous idea worms into the wrinkles of your psyche. Maybe you'll buy a motorcycle or one of those bikes that keeps you fit but takes you nowhere. Find a younger lover, sport a quirky cap, instigate some self-righteous mayhem. But the idea of your obsolescence will start to insinuate itself in unexpected ways. The spider vein tattoo of, let's call them laugh lines, first visible only in a certain light, will start to glimmer even in the dark. Then some old guy jiggle walking against the red light will remind you of the twinge in your back. You'll sidestep that luminescent bevy of youths who hardly glance your way as they sweep past, oblivious in their irreverence. Maybe a favorite song will send you into a reverie. You'd almost forgotten the unforgettable. More, you're resenting those tittering youths, so now plunging into unmapped destinies for never having heard it. Put all that pulp on pause before taking the next teetering step, my friend. If you've got some smarts, a glittering handful of grit, a shivering spark of spunk, you will suck in the air around you, inflate your chest, straighten your spine, cast a clear eye on an uncertain future, saying, doesn't matter what anybody thinks, I'm a badass and I shall prevail, if only for this moment. Happy birthday.
Wow. That was great. That was wonderful. Thank you very much, Linda. And we are almost to the end, but not quite to the end. we got some more contributors left, and the next one is from the Bay Area, Nazila. Please forgive me if I mispronounced that. Nazila Jameson.
Nope, that was perfect. Hello, lovelies. Feels like Friday night. I'm kind of bummed it's not because I'm ready for this week to be over. Hi, Norm. I'd just like to say that the most significant part of me and Norm's relationship is when I found out that he's not a tease. Because for a while, he teased me with the making of the pancakes and the eating of the pancakes and being 3,500 miles away with the pancakes. And I was hella mad. And then he came to the Bay Area and he made me pancakes. So I wasn't mad anymore. Thank you, Norm. This is about the feeling I got from the pancakes. This is in the book. It is called The Joy. Today is today. Every leaf on a tree is another day. Every individual grain of sand is another. They tumble and polish each other. They brown and fall and become fodder for other trees, which like time produce other days, like leaves or sand. Yesterday was today and will be tomorrow, but we are now and here. And today pulses brightly and lives soundly and doesn't fall apart. Time is relative and subjective and so very fickle. The way good times seem so short, but are actually the majority, while bad times stretch long before us, endless unnamed roads ahead, when the reality is bad times are but a blink, neatly forgotten. Sorrow tears instantly evaporate in the heat of even the most lukewarm smile. Funny that optimism shortens any distance, the way negativity makes the burden that much heavier and the path uneven. Wonder if Sisyphus sings as he pushes his eternal boulder. Rolling uphill can be fun if you appreciate roller coasters. By my calculations, we have forever. Let us smile so hard we melt the sand into infinite glass, water the leaves with laughter tears, and sing to the brand new trees. Let us savor the fast parts and praise the time. You know, it only seems short because it's joy. And the second poem, I was going through my archive poems and I pulled this out because, well, number one, because all of y'all, well, I'm always telling you that I hate love, so I don't write love poems. But number two, because Norm is one of my favorite love poets, because every poem that he does is a love poem. And so, I don't really hate love. I just don't like it very much. But this is back, a poem I wrote when I actually believed in that shit. And this is called Still Always, in honor of Norm. I still write you love poems, still intoxicated into streams of consciousness by the sound of your exhale or your bare footsteps padding into the carpeted room. Your laughter incites me to haiku or tanka. I want to compose lyrics to the rhythm of your baritone murmurs, a multitude of metaphors solely inspired by your stalwart stride. You are a living, breathing writing prompt. All sentiments are not born into words. I hold my breath when you hug me to contain the sonnets in my chest, swallow verses and stanzas so as to not spit adoration all over you and myself. I pen poetic praise with my fingertips on your back, with my lips on your body, never knowing if you hear me enough. Some poetry writes itself. I am merely a conduit, here to document an inadequate portion of your divine magic and the effect it has gratefully had on my heart. Only God will ever read this entire volume of love poems for you. I just want you to know I still write them in notebooks and computer apps, in my brain and my blood cells, for you and for myself. They go on in perpetuity, as does love, and as do you. Thank you.
Ooh, thank you. I'm so glad I agreed to do this because I've suddenly have like 10 to 15 new favorite poets. This has been a great night. So we're going to stick around the Bay Area for our next presenter as we go to Yeva Johnson.
Thank you, Kit. I want to say a special thank you to Vale and Nazila. Without them, Norm, I would not be here. I would not have sent my poem in. And I can't wait to get the anthology. I'm not sure if I did it right, but Vince, I hope it looks beautiful. So I'm not sure if I did it right. And I had no idea till I come tonight. There's 2 poems, of course, but I've figured something out. So since Norm and I are, I don't know the direction, so I'm going to do it my way. Since Norm and I are, we're in the nomadic press family as well as now the Black Lawrence Press family. So I'm going to read one shortish poem from my chapbook, Analog Poet Blues. And Norm is one of the poets who inspired me to submit to nomadic, to do something with nomadic press. Then I'm going to do the poem that's in the anthology. I'm just telling you, I'm just giving you the heads up right now, because when I get started, it's just going to go from one thing to the next. And as most of you know, who know me, there will be a little bit of music. Tonight's music is dedicated to Norm. I wasn't sure if it was going to be late, early, or on time. Only Norm knows. I don't exactly know, but that's what it is. So we'll start with the first poem out of the chapbook. And this is just expresses my, I thought when Norm moved, I was very sad. I was not going to see Norm again. And it's turned out I see Norm all the time. But anyway, it's just a little San Francisco poem. It's called San Francisco Redux. Muddy Waters Table on Valencia Street. Robin Williams Tunnel. Beep your horn. Between 2 bridges, Pacific waves soothe. 7 times 7, 49 square miles. Bay Bridge toll, only $1. Each steep hill reduces cars' life. Rainy or dry, seasons blur here. The crookedest street is not Lombard. Earthquake or tsunami, take your pick. Castro Street Fair, no shame game. Pupusas topped with crisp cabbage salad. On Christmas Day, Chinatown open, play. Cable car arrives just behind Walker's. Sunny and affordable, Mission and 24th. A different light, modern times vanished. That's for those of you who've known the San Francisco I've known. And now this is the poem in the anthology. It's called The MathMattox of Poetry, for Norm. We met at Alley Cat way back in the time before the pandemic. Once a month, we'd join our voices at Voz Sin Tinta, 2 Black poets who could both speak some Spanish. It came time for Norm to make a journey to that far East Coast, that poetry mecca, New York. I shed a few tears, gave him a hug when he left, because I figured we'd hardly ever see each other. But a great pandemic was on the way, with wave after wave of a new illness that produced a new technology, great Zoom rooms. So came the era of a new Black calculus, and I began to see this poet at least once a week and often more. always with a constellation of moon and stars in his background. I'm comforted by his rhymes. This negrojibra means we get to laugh and share in diasporic museum rooms where people of African descent gather to rejoice in our poetic voices, to wander the ether in lyric gatherings like nomadic 21st century bards, whether at the open mic or at Bird and Beckett. The way I calculated, I get to see Norm, a poetical wizard, more than 4 times as often as I'd expected. An exponential delight. So many times I'm caught up in this great poet's rhymes and metaphysical rhythms. I'm too stunned to even put my praise in the chat. He's taught me so much about miseducation, and I'm about to get his latest book, Four Crescents, to complete my Norm Mattox poetry set. So whenever it's time to leave our Zoom rooms, I'll always hear his parting benediction. Get home safe. Get home safe. Which is how one Black poet says goodnight to another. And this is for Norm. Happy birthday, Norm. Miss you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I was not expecting that. Again, there's kind of a joy into going into this sort of without expectation, without any sort of, oh, it's not about me though. It's about Norm, and it's about all of you who contributed to his this anthology, for what he has all meant to everyone who has met him. And so we're going to throw it back to Beowulf, the propaganda poet, to read the haiku that closes that edition.
You've all heard it a million times, everyone on this project. Just ridiculous. I want to take a moment to thank the pandemic, because without that, this couldn't have happened. And so I'm glad we all found each other. Love you, Norm. Building new futures, functions of Black calculus. 10Q from us all.
Thank you for myself. Ah, well, thank you, Bear. And you are correct. In a very counterintuitive way, the pandemic brought a lot of good into our lives and has strengthened this sort of poetic community, made it given it very solid branches and boughs, and connected us all across the country like spider webs. And it's very interesting. I'm very glad that I got to be involved with this. And without further ado, the man of the hour, the man who all this is for, is going to read a feature set, and I'm eager to listen to Norm MathMattox.
Needless to say, I'm in a place that I don't find myself often. And it's a wordless place. The love and joy that I get from being with y'all was multiplied, divided, and I'm looking through it at a mirror. Hi, Jane. Great to see you. Okay, so I'm going to read some pieces that never heard before. It's not new shit, just never heard shit. And I'm going to be reading from my books, I guess. Four Crescents. There's a couple of pieces in here from Four Crescents. There's a couple of pieces from Black Calculus, and the next collection, which is going to be through Black Lawrence Press, is there's a couple of pieces that are going to be in there. So here we go. More than words from beyond ether. I am humbled. Words trust me to compose intentional ecosystems, integrate images, actions, and feelings like an alchemist, changing the nature of love to something mutant and palpable. The pen will never be the same. Paper will want to learn to read itself. Blanks will look to fill themselves with words and your voice. The poet will witness their own transformation. Next piece. Profound change is transformation. Epigraph. Good things and bad things end. MathMattox. Transformation is the death of old, creating something new that will become old. Awareness of transformation, a balance between what was and what is becoming. Arms letting go while reaching for the same thing. Like poles of a globe, lines of longitude pass through the equator, a middle that is hot, itself extreme, to both poles, frigid. What's the fulcrum between freezing and boiling? Invisible becoming visible, disappearing again. Between liquid and vapor, sublimation, when both occupy the same time and space. Life is the dissolution of the former and faith in the latter. Balance is a meditation between the din of Babel and the silence of discernment. Inertia, the non-action that carries the end to the momentum of action. Silence carries the echo of noise, the sound, a blur of an om. Transformation is life on the way to becoming something unplanned. Next piece. Barbecue, not a picnic. My only crime, sir, was showing up to a picnic I wasn't invited to. Sir, my words might come out the side of my mouth. There's an awkward tilt to my head. But the truth is, they're going to say I ran after them. And when I caught up to them, they're going to say they wrestled the 5 axe handles from inside my shirt, the 14 fists from inside my jaw, the razor blade from behind my scrotum. And sir, They're going to tell the court I showed up with this noose around my neck, and I tripped on it, strung myself up during the melee. Sir, if you put my shoes on their feet, would anything about their account of what happened, me ending up in the tree, taller than when I left my house, be true? So help them God. I know it's difficult to make a point when my broken fingers are going in 10 different directions. I'm sorry if my voice is a little strained and my words are a little slurred, but these last phrases are having a hard time getting around this knot in my throat. Next piece. The infrastructure project. The superhighway called life, mixed in concrete and asphalt. I am the pavement. I am the fork in my road. The direction, forward. I am the ravine becoming a canyon. Rivers and time erode inventions of memory. I become a trench, diving in on itself, swimming into undercurrents, fins morphing into wings, flying out of the depths, dark becoming fuel, propelling me towards inner flame. When the road in front of me ends, I must become the bridge that gets me to the other side of myself. Next piece. The images in this next poem come from childhood, when at the outside of Eastchester in the Bronx, there was a swamp where a swamp that turned into landfill that became Co-op City. The title of this piece is Seagull Clouds. Epigraph. Same old garbage sealed beneath concrete, a visible climate exchange. MathMattox. Seagulls drift on shifting convection currents. Heat rises off decomposing landfill. Warm feathers float in updraft spirals. An invention of swamp, a water filtration system bioengineered by Earth's mother of creation, turns foul-smelling valley at the bottom of human pollution into castles of compost. Bog farms fill Scotch smokescreens. Luxury in a place where some can rise above the stench, while many comb through mountains of waste, like searching for shells on the shore. A throwaway society prefers investment in garbage and corruption, bought, sold, disappeared, underground, underwater, out of view, in plain sights. Eaten through slatted barrels, bigger than a stomach can hold, more than can be chewed and swallowed. Undigested excess wasting away in the needs, underwhelming community resources. Gatekeeper hoarding privilege says, hire more scavengers, take up less space. Next piece. Meditation threads. Sitting straight back in the wooden desk chair, silent like meditation, steady breathing, eyes closed, glaring at the back of my eyelids, waiting for the tick-tock calendar pages turn, legs shifting, feet shaking as temperatures rise and feelings start to boil, slicing like daggers thrown from across the room, aimed at your eyes. Can't see them coming. Having thinking crazies, afraid of being seen, hoping to be obscured. Can't wrap your arms around that. I know crazy, and this ain't it. I've wrapped my arms around crazy. All I was hugging was me. Push into vulnerability, feeling safe enough to fall into chaos, walking a fine line between now and never again, standing up against the wailing winds of trauma, gusting cycles of fear, pain, horror, sexual exploitation, physical battering, emotional abuse, psychological triggers set like minefields, torched forests burn beyond recognition. The body releases its carbon. Every rock overturned, every wall crumbled. Trauma echoes resound in the silent body that mind wears like ill-fitting pajamas, makes us wear PTSD like calloused skin, broken bones scarred by gnashing teeth. Angers break my voice into 15 shards of glass, wood, and metal ball bearings imploding inside a vest wearing a mask. A quarter smile turns into a dark, dangerous, terror-filled stare. Target shredded. Survivors call for extra band-aids to tape the tail on the donkey, me feeling like an ass that I grew manhood out of wild seeds thrown on fallow macho. Maybe call for a piece of liver smothered in onions to regenerate another human being. Instead of dirt turning to dust, tattooed with a mustache, expecting tree rings without nurturing the ground like you wanted something to grow. Next piece. What good is the poet? After Lawrence Ferlinghetti. What use is poetry when the words burn the page before they can be read out loud? Words spoken into ether, flammable as methane gas, burning holes through thinning layers of ozone, piercing fog-baked thinking that doubles down as ignorance. What good is poetry with all its metaphorical insights, unless the words incite a riot of conscience, challenging you to look in the mirror, reflections of the animal crying wolf, as if life put your voice on mute, so the dog barking up the wrong tree distracts your attention away while bridges burn to the ground. What good is the poet if their words are lost in the ashes? Books burned because the powers that be are afraid of the truth, that they are the barbarians at the gate, that the map they've drawn circles back to the original lie, that this land is your land, from sea to shining sea, while history rides over bodies that lived here long before their lives were discovered. The poet must prepare to listen like a tuning fork vibrates, finding resonance in the surrounding terrains. The poet must listen through the soles of their feet, kneel in prayer to the souls in their sleep. The poet must hang in the balance between hyperbolic emotional responses along the spectrum, tempt the empathies to suffer the same agony, walk to the same cliff's edge, to ponder the expanse. The poet must peer into the same suffocating darkness where voices are swallowed, confident the ancestors are near enough to whisper their lives. There are no words to misunderstand, only intuitions. The poet must become fluent in the dialects of languages spoken across the in-between, The poet must collaborate with artists across the breadth of creation, tap wisdom that flows like sap in some places, like a waterfall in others. The poet must have a contract with their muse, agree to wait impatiently for the prompt, write when symbol and concept come out of the silence. A cacophony of whispers become the code that is the poet's voice. The poet's voice must speak tribal taboos, unspoken for generations, dividing communities into binaries that keep us separated and disintegrated from the whole of us by man-made borders and boundaries. The poet must be equal parts proud and humble by the responsibility their words share, the possibility of making a difference in ocean depths of the global conscience, evolving humanity word by word, truths that change the landscape, earth shake to catastrophic earthquake, redraw maps of the skies so no lines nor borders between dreams, vision, concept, and action. A result between utopia and dystopia, a nature full of perfect imperfections. The poet must never be satisfied nor pacified by praise unless the action in their words becomes the DNA of human impulse, seeking a higher trajectory. Next piece. Prodigal Rivers. Epigraph. Return to the beach. Life begins again. MathMattox. At the edge of the beach, a meeting place between heaven and earth. The beginning of place, the end of null space. Where life ends, another life begins, even if it is underwater, and a universe without stars. A sea of possibilities opens to the same dark. Light, vanished like the prodigal son, exiles their selves into the desert, 40 years wandering in wonder, up and down spiral staircases, hoping to find light at the bottom. Only a hazy mirage there. Imagine the oasis, a make-believe place. Reminds me of the ocean that was my mother, my first home, a womb without a roof, a sky-filled attic, the basement with no floor. A nest of fires singe my hair, burns beneath my skin. Ashes fall away from bones left hanging in the closet. A gust of wind carries the phoenix on its maiden flight out of the desert. A trajectory that leads me back, like 1,000 prodigal rivers, to the ocean that launched me. This is the penultimate poem that I'm going to be reading this evening. Verses beneath my skin. Epigraph. A moment in time is an ocean. I am a tear. MathMattox. Someday you may look down, see the elephant crawl through the fence in the palm of your hand. The weight of a pause collects a beat of silence, waiting to stop full before I reverse field. I step out of my face, look behind the mirror, discover a galaxy beneath my skin. My inward-facing telescope peers over the horizon. We exchange internal flames to enlighten the abyss. Concrete softens, hearts melt, molten soul evaporates off a parched desert. This is my last piece, and I am so grateful for this gift, which is an opportunity for me to be named, and it's not just Norm. Who would I ask? I have to say that I am a poet because I name myself. I have to say permission isn't given because you ask for it. I have to say power has to feel generous that day, to share permission because the pressure pops like a cork. I have to say power doesn't want to exercise conscience because being asked permission, no, is the default. I was raised by good manners, where language never got vituperative. I was raised by an apple cart that never got upset because it had 4 square wheels, 4 corners spread so far apart, it never worried about taking up too much space. Understanding that my place would never fit the space granted me as broken as the last treaty. Understanding that humans covered the land like blades of grass. Make no mistake, we belonged to this land before greed dug into our roots, harvesting memories, regurgitating bile-added traditions, inventing the power of ownership. What poetry teaches, Stardust charges us to recreate the next moment. What poetry teaches now becomes another big bang, the next universe in your path. Take 1 step toward love, and you might just take 2 steps toward the solution to fear. Peace. Thank you again. Thank you so much, my people. I love you. I love the tears that are falling out of my face. I love the sweatshirt that is getting soaked up. And I'm going to be vibing all day tomorrow. I have a procedure to have done tomorrow. And on Thursday is this brother's birthday, and I'm looking forward to the next day. Peace.